Hey y'all, what's going on? Here with my buddy Troy. Troy, what's going on?
How you?
Good. We're here to talk about local solutions. All right, we know that the political situation in the country, especially right now, is just absolutely ridiculous. Lawmakers on both sides can't figure out how to solve like basic problems. So what we're going to talk about today is what is a local solution to a basic national problem that we have, which is poverty. All right, in the 1960s, President Lyndon B. Johnson, he declared war on poverty. And in the last 50, 60 years, we spent a little over $14 trillion on trying to eradicate poverty. And we know that we have more people now than we did in the 60s. Okay, so who we have here today, Troy. Troy's a self-made millionaire. And so I thought his real life experiences as being a man in the arena, actually doing things and actually solving problems, I thought he would have excellent insight as to why poverty exists and what can actually be done to fix that problem. So Troy, before we get into that, just want to let the viewers know a little bit more about yourself. So if you want to talk about, how you grew up, and then how you ended up building this company, and how you are, at the levels you are at now.
Yeah. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. So I grew up right here in Center, Texas, your hometown as well, and went to school right here. Matter of fact, just a couple of blocks up the street here, I graduated. Had a great childhood. It's a great town. Still today, I would say, even at the time and still today, is a very crime-free town, pretty drug-free town, safe place to raise children, and so it's a good place. Had a good childhood. For me, I got made fun of a lot and picked on a lot because I always wanted more. I was called, the dreamer. Stop dreaming so much, and that's part of, I believe, what gives people the motivation to do more and want more. Is maybe sometimes it is dreaming, and I think that's okay. I think that if you tell friends or family or loved ones that to slow down on the dreaming, then maybe things don't happen in their life. I know for me, I always wanted more. I always felt like I was meant for something more, and still even today I feel like there's still more out there. So part of it is not necessarily. So my goal is not to make money. It's never. My goal has never been to make money. My goal has always been to create a good working environment. We have a couple of golden rules at the company that I own. The golden rules are just really simple, and they're centered around just treating people right and respectfully, and that's a two-way street too. So one of the golden rules is we don't curse any of the employees, and that's, in my line of work, that's sort of a common theme.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, that, like I said, that's a two-way street. So I don't curse you, but you can't curse me either.
Right.
And that's very important. And I think the mentality that I have for the way that we lead the company, because it's a we. It's not me. It's a we. There's a team of people that run this company. We've got 350-ish employees, and kind of as a side note, you coming and spending a little time with us at our office, we call it the world headquarters, kind of as a joke. But you coming and spending some time, basically in all one afternoon, after lunch, meeting people and seeing what we do and spending time with us, that was a big thing to me, because I made the comment to you that no politician has ever been interested in coming and seeing what it is that we do. They like the taxes that we pay. They like those. But at some point, so the business has been going for 4 or 5 years now. We started from nothing, 4 trucks and 4 employees.
And about what year was that?
2016.
Okay.
So in 4 or 5 years now, we've grown to over 300 employees. And now you're really good at remembering all these little facts. So I'm going to give a roundabout fact. So each one of our employee, as far as the drivers are concerned, makes over double what the family average makes for Shelby County. And Shelby County is one of the poorest counties in Texas.
Right. So,
Okay.
and just to be clear here, in Shelby County, the median household income, which is what you're talking about, is
Right.
$39,000. So that's like for both parents, if they're working, that's a household.
Both parents.
That's right. And you're saying that your average employee makes twice that.
Close to twice that. Not every single one, but it's close. I'm gonna leave myself a little bit of wiggle room,
Right.
but it's close, and that's important because what it's done is it's created a different lifestyle for my hometown, my home county, and what I hope is, it's like I said in the beginning, it's not about money for me, but what it is about is creating a different future for an opportunity for all these people that live right here in our county. And the disappointing thing to me is, if I were in office, in any office, not just the one you're running for, and I greatly appreciate you taking time to sit down and talk about, and like I said, it's not me, it's the whole team. I just happen to be the one sitting here. There's a lot of people back at the office grinding it out right now, making sure that the business continues. But what I appreciate most is the fact that you're the first one that's came down and asked any questions. No one's asked, what's the company that provided all these jobs? And I'm guessing, we're probably the second or third largest employer in Shelby County.
Mm-hmm.
Someone probably should have noticed, and you did. And so that goes back to the important thing of, and I'm going to give you this, you run on a different campaign slogan, but you're for the people, the little guy, the one guy, the family that's paying taxes. So many of the politicians, they've just, they're on their politician salary, and they're getting their checks. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we don't know where they're coming from, but they're getting their checks, and they forget about all us. They can't relate.
That's right. And, it doesn't, like, politicians are just people like us, but the problem is, like you just said, is they can't relate because they haven't lived our lives. How many politicians have actually, like, slung a sledgehammer until their forearms are just frozen? Yeah. How many politicians have built a company from scratch and created all these jobs for people? See, stuff you're saying is from 2016, and here we're on 2021. In 5 years, you were able to go from 4 trucks and a couple of employees to now 350 employees. And you're saying the reason that happened is because you focused on supporting and helping your employees, right? And that stuff, that is such common sense management, like intellect, that it's so lost these days because our leaders and politicians are so disconnected from what happens day to day. But you were able to figure that out just by being around your people and seeing what they need. And you realize, hey, my job is only to support these employees, and they will do everything else that needs to be done.
Yeah. 'Cause sort of the way you think about it is, in my business, we're a trucking company. We provide other services too, but primarily we're a trucking company. So from the beginning, even when we only had 4 trucks, I thought about it like this: if I don't have people, then all I have is truck notes and insurance notes and some workman's comp payments and things like that. But if I have the right people and I put them in the right positions, and I push them to make them every day greater than they were the day before, and I give them hope and encouragement, and every day it's always about the people. If you're always going to do the right things and you're going to treat people right, then you don't have to worry about the money aspect of things, because you should make money.
Right.
So at no point ever, there's not one employee ever that could come stand right here and say that I pushed them to make more money, right, so that we could make more money, because I don't think like that. I think if you treat people right and you do the right thing and you push people and you encourage them to be better every day than they were before, which is a lot of what we should have more of in politics too, because of what you just said. The average politician is so disconnected that they don't have a clue.
That's right. So you're able to build this company in 5 years, right? So some people out there are going to say, yeah, well, maybe he had people that helped him do this, or he's born into privilege, or yeah, he had all this help from different people to create this company that me, myself, an average person would never be able to do something like this. So when did you graduate high school? Was it 96?
96.
Okay. So 96 you graduated high school. 2016 is when you really started working on this company. For those 20 years, what did you do?
I would call it trial and error.
Okay. Okay.
Trial and error. So I did own and operate a small trucking company. I did everything wrong. Everything wrong. And this is a good lesson too. This has nothing to do with politics. This is just it. If you're viewing and you want to say, how do I make myself better every day, and how do I better provide for my family, I'll give you the best tip in the world. And that tip is focus on what you did wrong. And when you look at other people, focus on what they did wrong. Don't talk about it, because one of the things that I'll always say is, if you're sitting around talking about somebody else's success, then you're not focusing on your own. So for me, I did a lot of stuff wrong, and I did fail, and I'm okay with admitting that, because through my failure, I learned respect for a couple of different things. Credit, it's kind of important. You can't really grow a business if you don't have credit. Relationships, money. You have to have respect for money. If you just go buy everything that's for sale just because you have $5 in your pocket, well, then you're never going to be able to accumulate any type of wealth, because you spend every $5 you ever get. And I had to learn all those lessons, because in my family, and I've said this before publicly, we do a live cast and we talk about different subjects, and we didn't have a whole lot growing up. My dad was a probation officer right here in Shelby County, and my mom worked at the gas company, and we had a good childhood. We didn't have anything like what some of the other kids had, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. I think, and I'm glad it was that way, because I appreciate so much everything that Abby and I have been able to earn now. If all that would have been given to me, then I don't know that I would be sitting here successful, because I would have probably grown up with that mentality that everything, you're entitled to everything. Mm-hmm. And that kind of ties in with what you started the segment with here is entitlement, and I don't know what the right answer is. I know what the right answer is for me, but a lot of, kind of tying back in with poverty, if I had a choice of making $1,000 a week through some sort of government program, or making $1,000 a week by working at H-E-B or Brookshire Brothers or whatever grocery company, because I worked at all of them before, I would take the job, because I want to work for um, um, for what I earn because I want the opportunity to earn more. It's sort of like with truck drivers. You have multiple different ways. This is important too because this is a mentality. You have some truck drivers that work by the hour, and then you have some truck drivers that work by the mile. You have some truck drivers that work on commission. This is important because if you take the truck driving aspect out of it and you say, what's the mentality? Okay, you got 3 different ways of getting paid. If you get paid by the hourly, then guess what? If I'm the truck owner, then I tell you how much you're going to make. You can't make more. You can only work X amount of number of hours per week. So you're basically, no matter what you do, you're going to make X. You can budget your whole life on it. Okay? By the mile. That's a little bit better, but then the government regulates you how many miles you can drive per day because you can only average so many miles per hour and you can only work so many hours per day. So you're only going to be able to travel so many miles per day. If you get in a traffic jam, then you're not getting paid because you're sitting in a traffic jam. You get paid by the mile. Then you have commission, where it's a totally opposite way of thinking, and that is you tell me what you're going to make because you're going to use your time wisely the whole time you're at work. You're not going to spend an hour and a half, at the supermarket getting your lunch or hanging out or talking, and that goes back to the same. It's more of a mentality. It's about, do you want more out of life? And I think, in my mind, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but if you want to make a difference and you want more out of life, again, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but that's where you running for Congress kind of ties in. You want to make a difference. You want more out of life. You're not worried about money. Obviously, if you're worried about money, you're a very successful, very smart man. You could go in business somewhere and make a lot more money than being a congressman. But you want to make a difference because you want to change people's lives. And that's where I think you'll be successful because you're not going into this thinking you're going to make $1 million a year because you're not. I don't know what a congressman makes, but it's probably not very much.
Yeah. They make 176 grand a year, which is, I think it's a pretty good bit.
That's pretty good for center. I will say that. That's pretty good for center. I was going to guess 75.
No, but you're 100% right though. Like, you don't go into doing something like that when, I have buddies that make quite a bit of money, especially my buddies from Rice. It'd be 176 would be at the bottom of that. But I still, obviously, to do something like run for office or start a business like you did and create all these jobs, you're right, it's about 100% about the mindset and how you think about these things. So if, let's say, we have a lot of viewers out here, they have these non-career jobs, making $9, $10 an hour, working at Walmart or Brookshire's or whatever it is. If you had a kid, let's say that's watching right now, 23 years old, been working at Brookshire's a few years. Brookshire's is a grocery store, a local grocery store chain. What suggestions would you give that kid making $9 an hour working at Brookshire's right now, if he wants to get ahead in life?
So it's interesting you say grocery store and Brookshire's because my daughter's in college. She's 19. I had dinner with her last night. She came in. She lives in Longview. She works at a grocery store in Longview, and she said that she works full time. She chooses to work full time. Super proud of the fact that she wants to work a job and not get a handout. I'm very proud of that. Her complaint to me last night was that she's 19. So her complaint to me last night is that she feels like she's running the store because she has all this responsibility, but she only makes like $10 an hour. Okay, that's important because what I told her was get all the experience that you can get because experience is more valuable. This is my opinion. College degrees help. I have one. I went back when I was 32. I finished my college degree. People say, what'd you get out of that? I learned patience, probably more than anything. That's probably the one thing that I paid $50,000 for was patience. I thought I had a lot of patience already, and turns out now I have more. So what I told her was, get all the experience that you can get, because yes, you may be only making $10 an hour right now, but you're gaining experience.
Exactly right.
And experience is so valuable, more valuable than anything, because when you go to the next job interview, she's a year and a half from graduating from college. When you go to that job interview, you can say, yes, this is what my job title was, but this is what I did. And I think that my advice to any man or woman out there making $9, $10, dollars an hour, we were just talking off camera, and this is so crazy that this ties in perfectly. So we do a live cast every week to talk about, most of the time, nonsense topics, just for fun, on our own YouTube channel. But this week's topic is going to be, I started off with glass ceilings, but then I came up with a better name for the series, for the episode, and then I forgot it. So I have to think about my name again.
Yeah. Ain't that how that all works?
That's how it works. I should have wrote it down. But glass ceilings is it is a good metaphor for those $9, $10 an hour workers. And the important part of that is, and this is especially great for any dad that's raising a daughter, and sons too, but especially this is what I push to my daughters, is you determine your level in anything. You determine your level in a boyfriend, a husband, a job. People say all the time, there are glass ceilings. Yes, there are glass ceilings. You allowed it. If you want to gripe about a glass ceiling, then you made your own mind up. Now, there are certain situations where there are real glass ceilings in companies that you don't control, mega corporations, we're talking here. But there are many examples of people who broke through the glass ceiling. Now, that's not what we're really talking about. What we're really talking about is regular old guys and gals living right in center, Nacogdoches, East Texas, Tyler, Longview, and you're sitting there looking at yourself saying, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And it's okay it's okay if the answer is no. You can do more. You can run for Congress. You can run for mayor. You can run for president if you want. I think the important thing is to continually remind yourself that you decide what's good enough for you. And if you're okay with that, then that's kind of all you're ever going to get.
No, so you're making an excellent point, which is if you're in a job that you don't want to be in, making minimum pay, $10 an hour, if you want to change out of that, the first step is always you got to change your mindset.
That's right.
Right? You got to not accept the glass ceilings that maybe it's your coworkers that put up those ceilings for you. Maybe it's your boss that put up those ceilings. Maybe it's your parents, or maybe it's even the company or even society, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And it's an interesting point because this has always been the difference between how conservatives think and liberals think. Okay, because liberals, they believe there's a material world around us, and the world is everything you can see or touch or hear or taste. And but conservatives believe that there's a spiritual, abstract world inside all of us, and that world consists of ideas like faith, integrity, honor, self-discipline, courage, and so this is why conservatives hate welfare, because welfare will provide for a person materially, right? It'll put food in their bellies, it'll put a roof over their shoulder, but it destroys that person spiritually, right? It weakens their spirit. It decreases their courage. It doesn't give them incentive to develop self-discipline. And so what ends up happening is, like, if you create a society where right now we have 59 million people that are on some kind of welfare, okay, whether it's actual what's called TANF, which is welfare, or Medicaid, or food stamps, 59 million people. And the reason that's happening is our culture, as time goes by and as liberal governments control our culture, they're creating these mindsets. It's what we call victim mentality. It's where like the world defines you, you don't define yourself. And so as conservatives, we want a safety net, but it has to be something that makes sense, and it has to be something that doesn't destroy that person's spiritual inner nature inside of them.
Yeah, and I think to add, to kind of tail onto that, is that means it's temporary.
Right.
People fall on hard times.
Right.
We've all had hard times.
That's right.
There's not a person alive that hasn't fell on hard times. Some are harder than others, and sometimes you need the welfare programs, and that's okay. That's good stuff. That's what it's there for. I think where it can deteriorate your being, who you are, and I'm a pretty faithful person, so when it destroys what's in here, that and it's different for everybody, and that's where to me it's a real slippery slope for the government to make so many rules and laws, and because it takes the individualism out of everything, because you have all these rules. Well, maybe 6 months of some type of program would not destroy my being, but maybe it's 1 month for you, or maybe it's 3 years for you. I don't know, but I do think that in some cases the programs they should be used for the right reasons, but I do feel that if you become lifelong dependent on it, then at some point you got to start thinking, like, what's my purpose?
That's right.
Because you're not going to touch someone's life by being on a government program. You're just not.
No, you're not. Yeah, and what you bring up is also a good point, which is obviously these rules and programs and policies that come from DC on how to solve poverty is not working. And a big myth out there, which a lot of y'all probably also think, is that conservatives hate welfare. No, we don't, because just like you just said, we understand at times everyone needs help, okay? So the conservative policy solution that we want to happen is all the welfare spending and administration needs to happen at the most local levels possible, whether it's state or county. Because if the county's the one deciding who gets help and who doesn't, we know the folks here. We know, oh, it's just that guy who's been his family's been on the welfare for generations. He doesn't really need it, so we can cut him off. Or, hey, it's that single mom who just lost her job. She's good to go. We'll get her some help for about 6 months, and we'll help her figure it out.
Yeah.
When you localize it as much as possible, you can worry about that individual person instead of running it through programs and policies like you just said, and we all know that doesn't work because we've been trying it since the 60s and it obviously hasn't worked. Yeah. Okay, so now I guess, like, obviously, like, politics or policy solutions isn't your specialty, right?
No, I'm not a politician.
But your specialty is people, and you understand people real well, and you understand how to serve people and how to motivate them. So in an ideal world, right, in a country where right now we have 59 out of 330 million people are on some kind of welfare, in a country where we spent a little over $1 trillion a year on solving poverty, on a country where we spend 3 times as much money as is needed to solve child poverty, and we still have poor kids across the country. In a country like that, where all these solutions for poverty have failed from DC, what would you do in an ideal world if you want a more prosperous country with less poverty?
So, probably the simplest, I'm going to steal what you said because I like it. So, you take the money. Shelby County is ranked as one of the poorest counties in Texas. You take the money, each county gets their money, and if it takes having, I guess let me back up and say, if the money went straight to the county, it didn't go through all of these different arms and different agencies and different people, because everybody every one of those agencies has to make money.
That's right.
And they have to hire, more people to manage the money, which are all government employees. Mm-hmm. But if that money went straight to the place where it needs to be put, you would have, I don't know the percentage, you would have X percentage more to give to the people. And in that case, if you needed something as simple as a better school lunch program, to where you make sure that kids get a good breakfast and a good lunch, you could take that money, and instead of going through all these different hands and everybody taking a cut of it, and then when it finally gets down, you got 100% of $1, say you got 100 pennies. By the time it gets down to, let's just take one little program, the school lunch program. I think that is a great program. I mean, sometimes these kids, that's the only good meal they get.
That's right.
At school. And I know I've got kids in school now, and at one point, they weren't doing a food program. They said they were cutting out breakfast because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that don't make,
you're cutting out breakfast because of COVID? There are a lot of kids that's their, they may get 2 meals a day, and you just cut out one of them. Mm-hmm. So let me go back to this. You take 100 pennies out, and by the time it gets down to the people who are actually putting the food on the plates for the kids, you may only have 7 pennies left. 93 of those pennies may have got taken by all these programs. I don't know if that 7 pennies, 7% is accurate or not. I just totally made that up, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
I would not be surprised if only 7% of the money that's made to go to the kids is actually going to the kids.
Right.
And that's what I'm concerned about. Adults, you know what? You need to go find a job.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many jobs out there. I'm worried about the kids. And if I can make a difference to help kids, then that's where I'm going to put my efforts in.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, and I think everyone listening to would agree with that. The kids, they're in those situations not through any fault of their own, so they do deserve help.
Yeah. And you may or may not agree with the 7% as a disclaimer.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the numbers on that at all.
I made that up.
Yeah, for sure.
I made that up.
But you're talking about administrative costs, so that's a big thing.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about actual solutions to poverty that would actually work, well, what we talked about just now is a solution that would actually work, which is, hey, let the counties handle this, because they can give help depending on the person, because right now DC's handling it, and now people are getting help based on a checklist or based on policies or procedures, and we know that leaves people behind, and it destroys that person's inner spiritual nature while they do it.
Right. Yeah. It's sort of like any government application you fill out. It doesn't matter if it's getting license plates or filling out for some type of welfare. It's just checking boxes.
That's right.
So there's no individualism at all in it. There's no people, there's no connection. You're just checking boxes. It's either yes or no. Sort of like a credit application. You're just checking boxes. You're either yes or you're either no. And in many cases, I've got friends that were doing pretty well, and they lose their jobs, and they go try to get a little help, and they look back, and the government says, well, you made $100,000 last year. You don't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was last year.
Yeah.
I spent all that
Exactly.
on car notes and house notes and things like that. But now I need help, but I'm not qualified because I made money last year.
That's right.
That's a problem.
That's right.
Now, what are those kids going to do?
That's right. Yeah, and I think what it all boils down to is, the people. You focus on that individual person, you focus on strengthening their inner self, and then all these other things will take care of themselves. And that's exactly what you're talking about with these glass ceilings. And this is also what the American dream has always been about, which is, hey, if you set your mind to it, you have faith, and you work hard, like you're going to get to wherever you need to get to. And Mr. Troy Massey here is the perfect example of that. Troy, I appreciate you talking to us. Did you have any questions for me? It can be about, I don't know, whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be about even government or policies or whatever.
No, I would like to take the opportunity and thank you for running, because I do believe that you are for the people, and when I say that, I think that sometimes politicians are so dead set at whatever their core values are that they forget that there's another side. And in this country, unfortunately, we're very divided. And I've got friends on both sides. And I try really hard to make sure that even though I have my core values, that I still listen and try to be as empathetic and sympathetic as I can to other people's views and feelings, because this is America, and you have the right to believe whichever direction you want to believe. And so I feel like through just visiting with you that you'll take time to listen to both sides and actually accomplish something, because in many cases, with a lot of politicians, they're so set in their ways that they don't even listen to the other side anymore. It's all about fighting.
Right.
And what happens when we fight? Nothing happens. That's all we do is fight. They get up there on their podium and they talk and they argue, and I think sometimes it's just a movie.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really doing it. I think they get done hollering at each other on TV, and then they walk in the back room and they're high-fiving. They're like, man, we put on a good show.
I mean, dude, you're right. That is how it works. What it reminds me of is, if we did that in our day jobs, think of how that would work out. Like, I can just think on the rig, right? When something breaks down, like, there's going to be one or two guys that all they do is talk about what needs to be done or what they would do or whatever. But then it's always the people that actually want to solve the specific issue, that they listen to everything and then they work together to figure out how to actually fix it. And that's what, like, most Americans understand that. It's so common sense, you don't even have to think about it.
Right.
But that is not how government works anymore, and it used to.
Yeah.
But we can do that again. All we have to do is bring local self-government back, to where we can solve our own problems, and we don't need to worry about these folks in D.C. trying to do it for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're from Center?
Right.
Yeah. Because we're not the same color.
No, we're not.
I think that's kind of cool too, because I've heard a lot of guys, we've put some videos out with you, and I've talked to a lot of people about you, and one of the comments one of my friends made to me was he didn't think you could run for any type of office because you weren't American. And I said, I think he's pretty much very much American, and he's actually, I think he might be more redneck than me, which is unbelievable. I can't imagine somebody being more redneck than me, but a lot of people may not know. I mean, you were raised here in Center. You went to the military. You went to Rice University.
Right.
That's pretty good. Sometimes I feel like I can't even spell rice, but
so
and then you came back. Oh, what? No, wait. You
roughneck
for a while.
While I was waiting on the Marines.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's funny that dude said that. Like, what did he mean? Is he talking about like the color of my skin, the name, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's funny you say that because, I worked in the oil field for years, on rigs. And I worked not just in East Texas, but in North Texas, West Texas, New Mexico. No, but yeah, dude, I mean, I've gotten that before, but it's just crazy that most folks don't think like that, especially these days. But I think my whole life, I mean, I've met people that are like, oh, where are you from? Or like, what's your ethnicity or whatever it is. But most people, I don't think they judge you by the color of your skin.
I don't think so either. I really don't. I think that there's a group of people probably still out there that do,
right.
but I just don't. I don't think so. I know in my organization, it better not happen. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
It just better not happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I've obviously worked in the oil fields for so long, working with a lot of folks that have never met me before. They don't know I'm from around here until I open my mouth. But
that gets it.
out of hundreds of folks, I could probably count on one hand the people that were like actually racist to me, and that have said words that would be considered racist. But that's 5 out of hundreds, and so that's why, especially when you hear the mainstream media or politicians talking about, oh, America's a racist country, or there's certain parts of the country that don't accept dark people like me, it's complete BS. Yeah, there's folks like that, but the vast majority of folks, they don't care what you look like. They care who you are. They care about your character. And that's been my personal experience, for even now. So
yeah, I think that's great. And sometimes the people that do care, you're talking about a small percentage. And for me, if I were in your shoes and someone were to say that to me, I wouldn't give them the power of knowing that it got under my skin. Because that's another one of those glass ceilings. You don't take my power. I've got this little saying, I don't let people take my sunshine.
I love that.
I mean, I just don't.
You should get that tattooed somewhere. Maybe a face tat, neck tat, what's up?
Oh, you don't take my sunshine right there. I don't know. But I don't. I'm not gonna allow someone to take my sunshine and through this journey of growing this business, I liken it, and I've said this so many times to the management. I could recite it. I didn't get that on this side tattooed down my face right here. It says, the company is like a big boat going up a river. And I say going up a river because it's never easy. It's always a battle. As the boat goes up the river, it makes stops at ports. Some people get on, some people get off. And that's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's not for everyone. And the same thing goes with friends throughout the deal. So as the company has grown, some people get off the boat. They've decided, Here's another glass ceiling. Some people decide that because you become successful or your business grows or because people like you or whatever, that they don't like you anymore. And they name call and, you know, they make up things like you've changed.
Yep. 100%.
And that's okay because that's their opinion.
That's right.
But you know what that is? That's them getting off the boat.
That's right.
They made that choice. And that's okay.
That's right.
That's okay. Because you know what? There's other people getting on the boat. Some people get off the boat. And it's just real common sense. You know, one more little tidbit. One of my bankers graduated from Harvard. And he, this is a true story.
Yeah.
I should preface this by saying this is a true story.
All right, let's hear it.
He's on some sort of board. I think it's the business board for Harvard Business School. And he asked me that one day when I retire from Tri-State, if I would agree to hire on and go to Harvard and teach what he calls common sense business. So, never know.
You know it's cold up in Boston, though.
I'm probably not taking that job.
Yeah.
I'm probably not taking that job, but it was a very flattering offer, and if it weren't for Tri-State, then I would have never gotten that offer. So by saying that, if it weren't for the people at Tri-State, because like I said, it's you know, it's not me. There's a lot of people up there that make that company grow.
That's right.
A lot of drivers.
That's right. You know, and that's how any organization is. Your business, all you got to do is focus and support your people, and you're good. And that's how our society can move forward and be great like we used to be, is all we have to do is focus on supporting our people and letting them do their thing, and the country as a whole will get back to where it was. We do not need leadership from DC. We don't need their money. We don't need their pity. We just need their support and letting us do what we want to do.
Yep.
And things will work out. And that's not fact. That's not theory. That's proven fact. And that's how the country was run from 1776 until the mid-1960s, when we started seeing this great expansion of power out of DC. Yep. All right, Troy, it was really good talking to you. Thanks for bringing like your hard-earned and common sense wisdom to these times where it feels like common sense is just gone.
Yeah.
Or extremely rare. I hope you all learned something out of that today. So until next time, thank you.